to work for FIFA. Hey Shaji, thank you for joining us on the show.
Hi, it's my pleasure. Great to see you.
So Shaji, before we get into football in India, I just wanted to know, obviously started off football at an early age, like a lot of Indians did. Did you ever try to make it as a professional footballer?
Yeah, that was the dream. As a childhood football player, and we were lucky that we had the opportunity to play the game at a very early age. And when I was 8, I was hooked to the game. And because the football pitch was just a kilometer away from my home, we brought up at a very remote place in the northeast part of India, in the Duvars area of Bengal, where it was full of tea gardens and a tribal population. And football was one of the happiest thing there, and we were very lucky. I would say that we were part of the game, though it was a seasonal game at that time. It was not that a whole season would last. It is just 4 to 5 months, the maximum the football will take place.
Right. So, from what I read, you actually managed, despite a lack of coaching, you managed to play some semi-professional football for a while, but until you tore your ACL at the age of 22. So I was wondering, how did you manage to take that setback and still stay in the game of football for so long?
It's very unlucky to get into that serious injury, but at that time, only at the age of 19, I could get a coach. And by that time, it was too late. But then I worked hard and I got a lot of support to improve my game. Played at the state level, the university level. But then I was really trying to crack to a next level. I met with a serious injury, and at that time there was nothing as sports medicine available in India, though it was available in some part of India, but it was too expensive for me to afford. Then I realized that I have to shift my focus to education side of sports, and then and there I decided, okay, I have to be part of the game because it has given me so much. And I want to do something to improve the situation of Indian football, and that's how I ended up doing my doctorate degree. And football was my topic of research, and it was really a great learning experience doing my PhD because I could meet more than 400 ex-players, officials, administrators, journalists, everyone traveling across the country for 3 full years, and it given me a great insight of Indian football. What it lacks, what its strengths are, what are its challenges and opportunities. And then it was a tough time for me because to get into the game there was nothing as uh, an opportunity, because you have to be an elected official to be part of the game, because that was the structure at that time when I
Wow.
was growing up. Yeah, therefore I ended up as a coach to begin with, and I was lucky to get an opportunity in Chandigarh Football Academy, which was started by Lieutenant General J.F.R. Jacob, as he was the Governor of Punjab, Administrator Chandigarh. So he had a great passion for the game, and I applied, and it was a social service for me. But at the end, it proved to be the right decision, because I could produce 6 players for the country, for the under 14 team of India, and to
Wow.
yeah, in 2004, my 6 players played for India, and the at one go. So that was a huge achievement as a coach for me, because whatever I learned, sports sciences, sports football coaching, I could implement it. I could experiment with them, and that's how they were better than others, because more than 400 players came for the trials in Goa, and I took 9 players of my academy, and 6 of them got into the team. And since then,
Wow.
that academy produces the players, because I could set up good structure there. And in the last under 17 World Cup also there were four players from that academy. So therefore we left a good legacy there, and I moved
So,
on, and I moved to.
so Shaji, I just want to ask you. I mean, with all these achievements, bringing so many players through to the national team and to the club level, what are the problems you see in grassroots football in India? Is it a lack of coaches? Is it a lack of coaching skills? What's the issue here?
No, it is the combination of many factors, because first we need to have the right structure whereby the children who plays at the grassroots level see an opportunity to move up the ladder, and that's the structure is absent in many part of the country. Yeah, it is there in some part of the country where there is a clear pathway, where the clubs are a little stronger, where there are association, they have some grassroots program and a structure, and they do scout talent in a very democratic way as well as systematic way. But in
So,
most part of the country, the structure doesn't exist.
so that's an interesting word you use, a democratic way. Are you saying the problem is there's not enough equal opportunity for some of the younger players out there?
Yeah, absolutely. That is the situation in many parts of the country. Sadly, many players doesn't come to know even when is the selection happens. That's the sad reality. And the trials happens in 1 or 2 days, where it becomes a mela of 1,000 kids coming to get into the team, and
Yeah.
that's where we don't do justice in terms of selecting the right player, because that's not the way we should be doing. But that's changing. The good thing is things are changing, things are improving, and last 20 years I have seen how things are moving from from a very amateur setup, very disorganized system to organized level. So we are moving in the right direction, I would say. But being India is a huge country, it's a it has its own challenges.
So, just speaking of how to develop people, you you are the director of Delhi United Football Club, a second division club in Delhi, and now I know now that you don't work too much with them anymore since you became the president of the Soccer Association in Delhi. But before you did, how do you run the youth programs in Delhi United? How do you look for younger players, or how do you weed out the right talent?
It's because in India, for clubs, things are not easy. It's a huge challenge to run a club, because resources are not there, the support system doesn't exist, and for a second division club it is even harder, because the problem is there are not clear cut policies being laid. Therefore, nobody knows when the team will play, where it will play, how many games it will play. And for youth, again, the problem is you have only one competition to look up to, is AIFF youth leagues, and
So
then yeah.
So I just wanted to ask you, how hard is it to sustain a football club in India? I mean, where do the funds come from? Where is it?
Uh,
Sponsorships, tournament money?
it's it's a sponsorship is hardly exist, because sponsors can't come and be part of it unless you really give them the visibility and exposure. And for the exposure you need competitions, you need that environment, where here the problem is we can't really tell the sponsors or partners where we will play, how many matches we will play. So that are the challenges, and then how many people will watch us, and how we create, how we energize the fan base. Because even if we don't know where we are going to play and when we are going to play, how you mobilize things, it is a difficult situation. So therefore, I'm hopeful that going forward, we will have that kind of a scenario where a club can go to a partner, go to a probable sponsor and a partner and give them a very, very objective, calendar and the plans. Now we talk on more on probability rather than,
So,
in surety. So that's the problem. And
so I just want to know how often does a club at that level, a second division club in Delhi or anywhere else in the country for that matter, how often do these clubs close? I mean, how do you find a ground or a view? I mean, I can't see how you manage to pay the costs. I mean, paying for a ground, paying for maintenance, paying for the players.
no, it is all personal wealth which goes into the club, and that is where most clubs are functioning today. Yeah, and it is a few owners of the club, few partners of the club, they fund from their own personal means, and that is how we survive. And though we want to, tie up with best of the corporates partners, and the work is in progress, and that's how I being in the position of president, we want to strengthen all the clubs in Delhi through a
So,
definite mechanism, and that's where our focus is lying at present.
so how do you change things? I mean, I mean, I understand you're the president now, so you have certain leeway. But how does a person change something? How do you? What is the system that needs to be put in place to get something as simple as a schedule for second division clubs going?
See, for us, we need to go beyond the second division. We need to come down first from second division. That's very important because second division is just a step, yeah, or maybe the 15% of the calendar, you can say. The rest of the time they are in the states. They are playing in the local leagues, and that's where we are as a president, because I don't know anything about the club right now because I don't. I'm not a part of it in any decision making. But what my responsibility is now, 60 to 80 clubs in Delhi. Yeah? And I want that after 4 years, at least 30% of the clubs are really strong, and they have a community connect. They know, where they are playing, when they are playing, and there is regular competition happening without any break. And that's how we create a community of community engagement with the club, and we would be successful in that, I'm sure, because we are very working very hard, and clubs are also responding. And our focus of all the development initiative is to through club, and
Hmm.
uh, and that's how we can change the face of football, because no point, we as an association getting stronger and getting better and professional if clubs doesn't move up the ladder. And that's where we are focusing our considerable energy and time and resources to strengthen the club from the top, the lower division to the top division. That's how we also coming up with a pro league in Delhi,
Okay.
where we will announce in next few months time our plan. Tomorrow
Right.
we have the first meeting to discuss the basic things about how we can initiate a pro league in Delhi with 6 to 8 clubs.
Oh, that sounds great. So I just want to ask you, um, how much support do you get from private entities? So like Tata has done a lot of work setting up football academies and pitches across the country. Do you get a lot of private support either from Indian private organizations or even European football clubs or European organizations or something like that?
So as a association in Delhi, I'm really blessed to get few supports right now, because I just today completed 90 days, and we have few partners right now, and that also credible names like Hero. They are supporting us, they are funding us, and that's really very encouraging, because they see that we are doing something better for the game, and their association really motivates us to do better and work harder. And like that, we will also announce few more partners in the coming days. Therefore, support is not a problem for an association if we if we try to do good things, and if we try to do things in a transparent manner, and try to engage as many stakeholders as possible. And we are working very closely with the government, because government has a great responsibility in supporting the children. And we see that through football can greatly help the community in many ways. And we are working very closely with the government, where we are very sure that government will come forward and support us, and the state government has already committed a lot of support to us, which would translate into concrete steps in few weeks time, which we will announce shortly.
Okay, so I just want to change tacks a little bit. I want to talk about the I League versus the Indian Super League. So there's been a lot of debate, especially in the last 12 months, with Bangalore FC and Aizawl switching over to the ISL. So I wanted to know, what is your take on that? Do you think the Indian Super League is good for the future of Indian football?
See, no doubt, ISL has done a lot of good things about Indian football. They have raised the profile of the game in India. They have packaged the game, and if the league is known globally right now, and it has also energized the fan base locally. Yeah, uh, that is there. Therefore, there are a lot of good things have taken place. Now, the important thing is we can't afford two leagues in India. That's not a right way to go forward. I'm sure in the coming season, or in next two seasons, there would be one league, and we don't have to have a parallel league of I League and ISL, which doesn't help, because the players and the fans, and for the growth of the game, it is very important we spread the game, and we should have a more bigger league. And I League or ISL, one of that must become the top league. Yeah, and
Yeah.
we should have, and that's how a global structure should be put in place here, and that is very important.
So let me just ask you about how do you ever think there will be a day in the near future when Indians will prefer to go watch their local team play a football match rather than go to a bar on a Saturday night and watch Manchester United play a team in England?
No, that's a little long, I would say, because people will watch the local games if we are able to connect with them emotionally, as well as they see value in spending their time watching a local game, because that is the value proposition we need to create, and we need to create that emotion, that okay, they feel that local football is much more important than the global football what they are fans of. The good thing about India is, there are more than 200 million fans in India, those who are following Barcelona's and Manchester United's, Real Madrid's. And the good thing for us is these football fans can connect with the local football as well, provided we provide them a platform to engage in a better way, because the football fans will like direct connect, and people who follow Manchester United or a Real Madrid, they cannot fly every week to enjoy that atmosphere,
Right.
to either to a Barcelona or to a Madrid, or so therefore
Anywhere.
that situation we need to recreate in India. And that's quite possible, because I met yesterday even the fan group of Kerala Blasters, and even the Chelsea FC. They are trying to create a culture which is really encouraging, and they are adding numbers on a day-to-day basis. And if we see the Kochi environment, we see that is either as a Borussia Dortmund, kind of an environment. and
Right.
the same thing can come, because that is an indication that India can also have that culture. Yeah,
So
and
yeah.
the Kerala is leading. Kerala is leading that way, and Kerala Blasters are very lucky to have that kind of fan base. And therefore, my I'm very, very much confident that we will
So I
have
just
that
wanted to ask you.
environment. Yeah.
I just wanted to ask you like a follow up to what you're saying is obviously the potential is there and we have to tap into that. But do you think that's a responsibility of the associations or is that the responsibility of clubs? Because you look at the individual clubs like Bangalore FC, like Kerala Blasters, even Atletico de Kolkata, or they're not Atletico anymore. But these clubs, they've found a way using social media, using like getting the players out and about to actually meet fans. They found a way to connect and to get people to the stadium. I mean, Bangalore's Blue Wall is famous in Asian football now after they had their run last year. So do you think it's a job for the clubs to do to get the fans on board, or do you think it's a job for the Indian Football Association to do?
No, it is is a more of a job of a club, I would say, because the club is there for 360 days with their activities, and the association it is only there when the national team matches happens. So therefore, at the association level, what need to happen is we need to collect all the fan clubs together so that they are there for the national team. Yeah, so that
Hmm.
culture also need to come. Yeah, and once the thing is that once the clubs get stronger link with the fans locally, and that will automatically transfer into the national team. So therefore the most work need to be done at the club level, because they are closer to the community, and they are more frequently they can engage the fans than
Hmm.
an association.
So, just one final question, which I think we have to ask because the viewers have been asking us. Do you think India has a shot sometime in the future of, becoming a big footballing nation? I mean, whether that entails, finally qualifying for a World Cup or going toe to toe with a lot of the supposedly major football nations who have a fraction of our population. Do you think India has a chance to grow to that level sometime soon?
No, there's a possibility, but definitely that possibility not in the form of qualifying, for the World Cup in next few years. Definitely not. But definitely the possibility is that one of our players playing in the big league for the big team. And if that happens, that would itself transform the environment here, because the one player, say suppose playing for Liverpool or a Chelsea or a Manchester United or Arsenal or in Barcelona or PSG, that is where I see we are striking an earliest success
So you see that
than as a
happening
team.
soon enough.
Yeah,
You see
that
that happening
that may
sometime soon.
happen in 5 to 7 years time down the line. But as a team, we are still far away from qualifying, because though now with 48 teams we have a better chance
Hmm.
from 2026 and 2030. I would say that is still far away for us. But as an individual player, striking a big signing from one of the top clubs is a probability, is a high probability, and that would change. That would be a Tendulkar scenario for football in India.
All right. So, Shaji, thank you so much for joining us.
It's my pleasure. Lovely talking to you, and my thanks to all the viewers as well, and to you for giving me this opportunity to share my experience.
So that was Shaji.Prabhakaran, and this is the Big Scope,
Thank you.
teaching you
Oh,
everything about football today.
thank you. Bye bye.